Hi, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah, and if this is your first time on my channel, you're welcome. I talk about tech and my journey in being a software developer living here in Accra. In the Scary Fast event that Akpo organized over the past week, it was announced that we are going to be having 3 more chips onto the market. This is the M3, the M3 Pro, and the M3 Max. It comes with the launch of 2 new MacBooks that we are going to be seeing, the 14-inch and the 16-inch, and I'm really excited about it. And this is going to be poised to really talk about this with respect to being a software developer and how a developer is going to be using this laptop. Now, over the years, I have seen a lot of people who are developers not really going into the Mac direction, but they really reserve it for more of like the designers and people who are working on like video games and stuff. But I really want to talk about it, and this new 3nm chip that they are talking about really gets me poised to really talk about this topic here on this channel. So please subscribe to the channel as we delve more into this topic. So these nanochips basically means that we are having more transistors onto the chip than we would have on the M1 or M2. It's actually very fascinating why Apple never mentioned anything in comparison with the M2. It was always relating the M3 to the M1. It seemed so deliberate that they were not going to be mentioning anything about the M2. But however, everything was just based on the different thing we were getting in the M1 and what we are getting in this M3. Come to think of it, we see that the difference is wide comparing the processor and all the speed and stuff that they are talking about. We get to see that we are having more improved features in this M3. Now, I think for a greater majority of people, we don't really see how fast a laptop is until we see a delay in whatever we are comparing it to. So if we are saying that the M3 is fast, we don't really see how fast the M3 is until we are comparing it to the M1. We see, oh, the M1 is delayed, then we can say that the M3 is fast. But I think that's like a general overview of how we would want to see that in terms of the processing speed when we are dealing with something like coding, video editing, video game processing and all that stuff. With this new M3, I think most people who are basically designers will be really in tune with it because Mac really focuses on its visuals. A lot of visuals having to do with this new displays that they bring onto the market makes it very crystal clear what we are getting on this M3. But however, I'm really interested in what we get to have in terms of development. So in development, I mean like in coding. I see a lot of people who are doing hardcore development using the Windows other than the Mac, and I don't know why that is the case. In your circle, do you see a lot of people using the Windows or the Mac for development work? Like, I mean coding stuff. So, I mean, this is a topic for discussion in my comment section. You can just pin it out. What do you really use for development, having to do, let's say, back-end development? Do you really go for the Mac or you go for the Windows? But I mean, what they're saying, we get to have a lot of processing speed with the Mac and the M3 chips that have come. And I think it's very good if we get to see how good these devices can be. Then I think it will be good for development work. I know people who use the MacBook for development work. I'm only saying that comparing it to how often people would use the Mac for design, and comparing it to how often people would use it for back-end development, it's really low. Another thing I want to touch on is the colors. I'm getting the space black and the space light color, and I think it's really cool. I think it's so cool that I can't wait to have my hand on it, and having to do like with this reduced fingerprint stuff, it's really clicking all my buttons for me. Coming back to the idea of whether you should get this for any development work, you don't necessarily need a MacBook Pro for anything. You get, if you are someone who is beginning and you want to just get to play around with coding, design, or video editing, video game, it's not as though you need a MacBook Pro to do anything. But if it's something you want to reach out for, I mean, you can go ahead and get it. Can't end the video without mentioning that I don't think that these MacBooks are like targeted at any profession. You get, so it's like they really do it for a general public. Like, everybody can have their part in it, but I'm only referencing it to my line of work as a developer. Maybe you are someone who is into working on building projects in AI, building coding in natural language or doing something in design, video editing, 3D modeling, and all that stuff, it may be good for you in your career, because Apple makes it look like everybody gets to have a part of the cake when it comes to their devices. Taking it on a base level, it's really great to have these new chips that you could run on, and considering how fast it is, I think it's really good for anyone who wants to do anything in development, 3D modeling, or AI stuff, or even video editing. Still taking the stance that I see how Apple really never mentions anything about the M2. We could see the difference here, you get, but try my best to get to know whether they see the M2 to be relatively an okay to have tool than the M3. Like, if let's say if we are having the M2 and the M3, are they saying that having the M2 is just like having the M3? Is that the idea behind not even mentioning it in these events that they organize and all that stuff? So, well, I think maybe we can discuss that in the comment section, and I would love to hear from you if you really want to go in for the M3 and what kind of color do you want to go in for. So I will see you in my next video to talk about more tech stuff. Bye.